Allah wanted to teach Prophet Moses some knowledge of the unseen, so he showed his messenger a dream. We must remember that the dreams of the prophets and messengers are not the same as the dreams of an ordinary person. The dreams of the prophets and messengers are more real than reality. In this dream, Prophet Moses was shown 3 events in total. Each of these 3 events was directly related to the life and mission of Prophet Moses, and the lessons learned from these 3 events were very helpful in fulfilling the responsibility entrusted to him. In the dream shown to Prophet Moses, he tells his companion Joshua he must reach the meeting point of the 2 seas, even though he has to travel for ages. If it is not a dream, a messenger can never say such a thing, because Allah made him a messenger for a nation. He gave him the responsibility of prophethood. The only duty of all prophets and messengers until death is to fulfill the responsibility of prophethood, always guiding his nation, especially when his nation is aimless and disobedient. Allah freed the children of Israel from 100 years of slavery under the leadership of Moses. He revealed the Torah for them. He provided sustenance for them. Despite this, they disobeyed the command of Allah and worshipped the Egyptian god Apis. They refused to go to the land of Jerusalem by disobeying the command of Allah. As a punishment, Allah arrested them in torment. They were sentenced to 40 years of punishment. For these 40 years, they wandered around in different countries like a nomadic nation, without a land or a place to live. It is not fitting for a prophet to abandon his nation in the responsibility of prophethood and search for a person and a place for ages. So from the first verse, it is clear that Moses saw the whole incident in a dream. Allah wanted to teach Moses some knowledge of the unseen. That is why he showed this dream to his prophet. The 2 oceans mentioned in this verse are one of the oceans of external knowledge and the other of internal knowledge. In other words, one is the knowledge of the natural world and the other is the knowledge of the spiritual world. It is at the meeting point of these 2 knowledges that the truly wise person is found. In other words, the truly wise person is the one who observes this world with his external vision and internal vision. He feels the order and system of God present in the world. Like Kidr, he observes the infinite power of God with both his physical eyes and his internal eyes. Like Kidr, whose 2 eyes, that is, both his physical eyes and his internal eyes, are awake, whom Allah has made a messenger, who has given a book like the Torah, whom an honored angel like Gabriel teaches, whose guide is Allah himself, who speaks directly to Allah, who teaches his people about oneness of God, prophethood and the hereafter, who himself is a sign of Allah, whose staff is a sign of Allah, whose words are a sign of Allah. So who can be a wiser person than Prophet Musa? Who can have more accurate knowledge than Prophet Musa? A messenger is the wisest person while he is alive, and only he has true knowledge, because the source of his knowledge is the great being of Allah. So it is clear from these verses that the whole incident was seen by Moses in a dream. Allah wanted to teach Moses some knowledge of the unseen. That is why he showed this dream to his messenger. In the first incident, after boarding the boat, Kidr made a hole in the boat. As a result, Moses feared that they would all drown. And then before leaving, Kidr gave an explanation for it. Moses was looking with his external eyes, so he could not see any good in this loss. But when he was asked to look with his inner vision, he realized that since a tyrant king was forcibly taking away the boat of the poor people, the hole was made in it to protect their boat. The hole was made in the boat for their good. This is a good that was still undisclosed. So not all evil is evil. Sometimes it brings good that was still undisclosed. This is exactly what happened to Moses in the first chapter of his life, that is, in his childhood, when an angel of God came to Moses' mother with a message.
We suggested to the mother of Moses, "Suckle your child, but when you fear for his life, cast him into the river, and be not fearful nor grieve, for we shall restore him to you and make him one of the messengers."
In the second incident, Kidr killed an innocent boy, and then before leaving, he also gave an explanation for it. This second incident in Moses' dream corresponds to an incident that occurred in the second chapter of his life, that is, in his youth. Moses accidentally killed a person. For this, he was very remorseful and asked for forgiveness from Allah. Although Allah forgave him, but he left Egypt and went to Midian due to the fear of being wrongly arrested and executed. Do you find any similarity between the killing of an innocent child in the dream and the murder committed by Moses? It is true that Moses accidentally killed a person, But this unexpected incident forced Moses to flee to Midian. And Moses' journey to Midian brought many blessings to his life that were still undisclosed. He found his life partner in Midian. He went through many positive changes in the next 10 years of his life. Allah gave him prophethood, and above all, he freed thousands of the children of Israel from their 100 years of slavery. He has united thousands of people under the shadow of pure monotheism. Therefore, just as the killing of an innocent child in a dream was not evil for its parents, similarly, the killing committed by Moses was not evil or misfortune for Moses. In the third incident, both Khidr and Musa arrived at a town whose people were very rough and rude. As weary travelers, both of them asked for some food and water, but the people of the town refused to provide them. Despite the rough nature of the town, Khidr strengthened a ruined wall of the town. However, he did not take any payment for it. At the time of his departure, Khidr explained this. He did this so that future generations could benefit from the hidden treasure hidden under this wall. Of course, the people of the town were rough and Khidr did not take any payment for his labor. However, his labor would bring good to the lives of 2 orphan children in the future. Like the previous 2 incidents seen in Musa's dream, this third and final incident is also directly related to the last chapter of his life. That is, his remaining life after receiving prophethood and the responsibility of prophethood entrusted to him. We all know that after receiving prophethood, Moses took the message of monotheism to Pharaoh on the orders of Allah. Along with this, he also conveyed the message from Allah that his people, the Israelites, must be freed from slavery. But the arrogant Pharaoh rejected both these messages. Later, Moses adopted some strategies on the orders of Allah and left the land of Egypt with his people. But after a week, Moses realized that he was working for a nation who were rough and rude, who were disobedient to Allah despite receiving so many blessings. But Allah Almighty ordered that even though his people were very rough, he had to work for this ruined nation. He had to make this nation strong. He had to do this because the future generations of this nation would benefit from his hard work. Even though the present generation of the nation was rough, their future generations would be obedient to Allah, who would build themselves as a strong nation. Allah Almighty informed his messenger that his hard work would surely bring benefits to future generations. It is clear from this discussion that the 3 chapters of Moses' life are illustrated through the 3 events he saw in his dream.
The fact that Khidr murders this child, he didn't murder him in real life. God would never allow anybody to murder a child. That would be absurd. Because if you're going to say, well, it was for a greater good, then why not murder all the other children? Right? That doesn't make any sense. Right? Because if you're going to say, well, God murdered this child because the child was going to grow up and turn them into a kafir, well then what about all the other kafirs on earth? Why didn't God murder their children? What an absurd thing. That belief will never... You see, in Moses, in his life, he had committed accidentally murder. He had murdered a person in a fight. So it got into a fight with one of the Egyptian Pharaoh's soldiers, and he had hit him, resulting in his death, from which Moses had fled. Now this thing was always bothering Moses, that, I accidentally killed that person. And this incident, or in the vision where he was to witness that actually that did happen, yes, but there was a greater good. That because of that you fled. And because of you fleeing, a great journey of prophethood and the salvation of the Israelites began to unfold. So this was to do with Moses witnessing this murder of this child in his vision, not in reality. And as to building this wall and Moses being like kind of frustrated, why didn't you charge them? This was because Moses was fed up with the behavior of the Israelites, because they were pestering him. Even when he goes to Mount Sinai, he comes back, they've built a golden calf. What is this about? وَرَجَعَ مُوسَى إِلَىٰ قَوْمِهِ غَضْبَانَ عَسِفًا. That Moses comes back and he's angry. فَأَلْقَى الْأَلْوَاحَ. He threw the kind of tablets. That he was so and angry that what on earth is wrong with you people? But Allah was showing in this vision that, look, yes, these people, the villagers disrespected them, they didn't host them well, they didn't, because Moses, you see, Moses dies before the Israelites reach Jerusalem. They don't actually enter, Moses does not enter Jerusalem. He dies before the Israelites actually make it across the Jordan River and into Jerusalem. He never sees the fruits of his whole mission. But God shows him in this vision that yes, the wall right now is dilapidated, but these orphans will grow up and beneath it is a treasure which will manifest in the great, magnificent kingdom of David and Solomon, serving and playing out to be one of the most powerful kingdoms on earth in its time. All of these three incidents related deeply to the life and mission of Moses alayhi salam. So this is what Khidr alayhi salam was. He was part of that vision. He's not actually a real person, and he's not actually somebody who roams around amongst us interfering in that sense, unless you're using that term symbolically. Okay, so symbolically I guess you could say things like that, but in Muslim folklore, many Muslims believe he is a person, he's roaming around and he's doing all these things, but that's not actually real. I mean, many Muslims might believe that, but that's not actually true. And I feel that we should never be insecure about our faith, but at the same time we should remove these cobwebs of folklore, superstition and mythology. I feel we should remove them and we should be confident about our faith, but that does involve exploring certain aspects and answering them where that's necessary.